Folks, welcome to this webinar. The assumption that is that most of you folks are in the digital marketing slash web development slash product marketing domain. And even if you are beyond the domain and if your interest has brought you to this webinar, I welcome you. So today's agenda is very simple. I will start with an introduction, followed up with the main subject of this webinar. Is how do we prime up the website for conversation, which will be followed by a discussion and Q&A. A bit of introduction about myself. I have about 3 decades of experience in IT slash ad industry slash brand management and digital marketing. I'm growth advisor at Valleybound and also founder of Visionaire Digital. I've also been co-founder in my past avatar of Connect Lab, which was a digital marketing and product development company. I worked at IBM as a product owner. I was a strategic planner at Ogilvy and TBWA, and also worked in senior marketing functions at Quest Global and Exeter. So my area of interest is largely B2C marketing, B2B, SaaS, high-tech, and new age companies. And I feel while the world has gone digital, the fundamentals of marketing remain the same, which is driving growth, driving revenue, driving business, driving customer satisfaction. But yes, there are new tools, there are new technology, and my interest is how to use those to kind of drive marketing outcomes. So some trivia, if it will help if you can unmute yourself or also kind of share your inputs on the chat. So would anybody know what's the percentage of visitors who convert on first visit? What percent of visitors leave the site because of poor navigation? And what percent of website traffic is driven by mobile? Anyone can take a guess? You don't have to necessarily know the answer, but yeah, if anybody, let's see. So Nikhil says 10%. 10% of what, Nikhil? So any other guesses from folks? I think most of them are curious. So when you look at these are data which is from the research reports. So of all, when I've been managing large websites with traffic of more than 100,000, and it's very surprising that of all the visitors, only 2% convert. Yeah. And we have been in a situation where, yes, the conversion was much higher, but when we talk about the industry standard, there are only 2% of visitors that convert on the first visit. On one side, when you see it, is not really alarming because not everybody is looking to buy and not everybody is in a ready state to buy. And customers revisit the website, and once they are in a state of readiness, then they kind of initiate the buying process. And see the industry benchmarks for bounce rate, which is like how many people bounce up after the first few seconds, is 50%. And the data is also evidence here, like 40% of the visitors leave site because of poor navigation. So bounce rate can be for multiple reasons. Sometimes people kind of get into a site not knowing what it is, and when they realize that it is not of their interest, they bounce off. Yeah. And almost 50% of website, and we've been doing marketing since early days, and suddenly we are seeing a huge jump in mobile website. Yeah, traffic from mobile devices. So the question obviously is like how we can improve the metrics. Yeah. So again, like this is not a teach session. Uh, I think we can all learn better if we are involved, and I do seek your more involvement in this whole process. And of course, the standard disclaimer: see, digital marketing or web development is expanding 360 degrees in all directions. Yeah, and I mean, how much soever you try, the your boundaries or your area of how what you don't know that you don't know keeps on expanding. Yeah. So the disclaimer is I don't profess to have all the answers. Yeah. But I would through this session share some of the learnings from some of the successful campaigns in my past companies. Some of the learnings also from failures. Yeah. So I mean, you're free to kind of jump in if you have any questions, but I would request you keep reserve the questions till end of the session. But if you have any queries or you want to provide more context, if you know something more than what is presented here, please feel free to share it in the chat box. Yeah. So when you look at uh, this whole lead flow journey, so leads in an organization comes through multiple channels, of which website is just one channel, and we're not focusing there too. We're not looking at how do we drive inbound leads to the website, nor are we looking at what do we do to the leads that have come to our website. Yeah. So our focus is like how do we optimize website for lead conversion. Yeah. So the question is, and there are like if you go on Google, you'll find umpteen number of, I mean, all sorts of information on technical aspects of UX, UI, uh, convert about content writing. Yeah. So this session, I want to steer clear away myself clear from those topics and look at the most ignored part, which is the content. Yeah. And also learning from neuromarketing and looking at some of the future things that are kind of and I envisage will be deployed in the coming years, yeah, or coming months. So this is not about those right smart headlines. It is not about above the fold or below the fold, but looking at how do we build a narrative on the website, because one thing that we have noticed is like if we change the narrative on the website, it has a huge impact on the conversions. Yeah, and also we used to work for with PNG, and we realized that traditional companies are increasingly kind of relying on neuromarketing, understanding how humans consume information within their brains, and how do we deploy that learning in building websites that convert. So this is not a very exhaustive list, but these are some of the things that I mean, I have personally deployed in some of our erstwhile companies, in some of our erstwhile campaigns. Yeah. So there might be one caveat here is that there might be some technical information here, more on the content side. If any of you need some more clarification, please hit me up in the chat box. Yeah. So See, I've always seen that whenever a company builds a website, there is a mad scramble for building the content. Yeah. And yeah, when I've seen people develop some sort of structure or a content template, uh, but they seem more like a comparison or kind of built upon something which was done earlier. Yeah. And website becomes an exercise in doing incremental change. Yeah. So I'm sharing here four frameworks to kind of structure the content on the website in a way where, which is of course scientific. It is based on some research, and it also based on how humans consume information or information that helps take decision of purchasing. Yeah. So these are four frameworks which I would like to share. So this is a DARE framework, uh, essentially more a neuro-linguistic programming to help us remember. So DARE stands for the four stages that we kind of go through before buying anything. Yeah. So we start from like a person maybe not aware of a high-res music player. Yeah. Now we have mobiles, but there are high-res music players. Uh, so the problem is people want to hear much more uh, beautiful sounding music. Yeah. Uh, this is for the audio files. So the thing starts with they will okay they it will start with the discovery. The second is once they discover okay there is an equipment or a device which helps us play audiophile grade music. People would understand little would want to understand the applications like how does it play, what kind of codecs does it play. So we get into more technical aspects, and then when we know that there is a solution, we look at okay what are the other options that is there. Uh, we kind of seek reassurance that whatever this purchase is going to be made is reliable, is the best one that is available in the market. Yeah, sorry. And the last is evaluate. How do we evaluate the product that I'm buying? So we look at uh, whether the company is offering some support, what kind of warranties are there. Yeah. So we can apply it to, if you look at many websites, consciously or unconsciously follow this structure. Yeah. So I'll just give you an example of HubSpot. And the HubSpot and other websites are great examples of how to build websites that convert. So if you go on the top fold of this website, you'll see that there is, it helps customer discover what it is about, like grow better with HubSpot. Yeah. And it kind of gives a glimpse of what can we expect there. If you scroll down further in the website, they speak about what are the different applications. Yeah. And then they reinforce by either reinforce can be either through testimonials, case studies, or a comparison chart. And then evaluate, they talk about providing 24/7 services. They speak about various ways which people can buy the product. Yeah. And then followed by this thing, grow better with HubSpot and get a demo or get started for free. Any questions so far? Okay. Sorry, I think while converting this from PowerPoint to this thing, some formatting has gone awry. Yeah. So one of the new thought that is being applied to many website brand campaigns is this mental and physical market share model. So companies like Razer Pay, so some of my friends who work on the brand there, uh, they have shared how uh, companies are increasingly looking at improving their mental market share. So to give you an example, see earlier people used to say that brands should talk about one point position on one aspect very strongly. So it played really well when there was not too much competition. But now with say 100 mobile companies and each taking a very strong point to educate the customer. So some talk about their say screen clarity or screen resolution. Somebody talks about the camera. Somebody talks about their long battery life. Somebody talks about their processor, so on and so forth. So the impact on the customer is, see, now when they buy the product, they're not looking at only one thing. Yeah. They look at multiple things. And research has shown that companies which score higher on multiple aspects on which a brand or a product is evaluated, the purchase or they have a better success in the market. So those things are called as category entry points. Yeah. So if you are even a web developer or a digital marketer or a product manager, one thing you should always ask is what are the category entry points uh, for the website that I'm trying to build or for the company that I represent. Yeah. And while this theory has been there for a long time, this was propounded by Professor Byron Sharp. It is only recently that many companies are kind of doing some research and deploying and applying it in their websites. So if you go to Adobe website, yeah, so if you look at, see, they're talking about their experience cloud. Yeah. And here they are listing out like what are the, see, I think there is a fine line between advantages and category entry points also. So category entry points are, see, maybe if you're looking at a Drupal world, it could be like, say, ease of development, ease of portability, ease of vendor migration, so on and so forth. Yeah. So if you look at, say, CMS, what is the entry points for a CMS company? Yeah. And when you are planning a website, that has to come up very strongly on your home page or a web page or a landing page. Yeah. So the next framework is jobs to be done. So jobs to be done is largely used in the product management field when people are planning out product. But I found, especially for SaaS companies, it is very, very handy. Because see, not everybody is an active customer. Some people come just on the website to look at the products in a very passive way. Some are actually looking very actively and they are looking at deciding and then actually buying the product. So jobs to be done actually started by this marketing manager from McDonald's. See, earlier people used persona as one way of trying to build a website for a customer. But they realize, see, the many information which is captured as part of persona building is not relevant in the final product development. And which is where jobs to be done becomes a little interesting. And it came from his own experience, where he found that in a particular outlet, the uh, sale of a milkshake was very high and very high during a very specific time, which was early morning. And when he delved deeper, he found that people bought it because they lived in the suburb and it was almost like a Bangalore kind of situation. It was a hour and a half drive, and people needed to have something that will kind of drive away their hunger for that period of time. And milkshake was one thing that sufficed the, it fulfilled the task, it completed the job. So the job here was we needed something that keep them full without having to eat a lot, and milkshake served that purpose. So if you look at this example, like a passive looking stage is when somebody has a headache in the morning for 2 months, and a friend told him it's likely to cause by a bad pillow. Then the person starts looking. They saw a end of year sale at a local bedding store, and then the person was worried about buying the wrong type. So they are looking at is the return allowed, and then bought the pillow at the store. It was in neighborhood, and it was told that choose another pillow free of charge. So when you're building a website or planning your own website, this becomes a very, if you have a landing page, then it will really help to kind of add those points of say free returns or uh, kind of money back guarantee, something that will reinforce the confidence of buying the product. Yeah. So if you look at jobs to be done, so most of the sites you will see they list down the task which the product delivers, and also looking at both functional and emotional aspects of the product. So if you look at Slack website, you'll see that they have multiple scrolls which talk about the functional aspects or functional benefits of Slack, and then like they're talking about bring your teams together, the whole emotional aspects also. Any questions so far? Okay. So this is very handy when it comes to lot of SaaS companies. So SaaS companies usually have products which solves a problem which customers do not realize that they have. So to give an example, Exotel came out with a product which is for banking company for relationship managers. So it starts with having a true caller kind of product, which when person calls, they know that it is a call from say HDFC Bank because it is Truecaller identifies it as an authorized person, so that people know that this is not a fraudulent call or a spam call. Then they have the number routing and stuff like that, and whole host of products which a banking company professional would not know that there is some product like that. Yeah. So their journey would be like they may have a problem, but they're not aware of the problem. Yeah. Then they discover, okay, there is this. How do I kind of ensure that people do not block calls because they feel it is a fraudulent call? So once they look for aware of the problem, they look for solution. So then they will do a say search and figure out if there is any services that can help them. Then they will figure out, okay, there are 4 5 products like that that can address their problem. Yeah. And then they figure out, okay, of this 4 5 companies, this company is better suited for my purpose. And they kind of from a stage where from problem aware to solution aware to product aware to brand aware, that whole journey is completed. So when you're building a website or a web page, that whole journey can be structured to close that loop. Yeah. So if you look at this IBM website, it starts by this is for a platform for IT operation, I don't know. But if you see that, it is starts by assuming that people are unaware. Then they make them problem aware and solution. But once people are problem aware, they're still in the solution unaware. And then if you see it through client success stories, they're making them solution aware also. And then they kind of make them brand aware that how IBM can solve their problem. Yeah. Because when what I really helped kind of developing that page in the erstwhile page, because usually you go through that funnel which doesn't account for the customer journey. Yeah. So once we have this framework, we can exactly uh, plan the content in such a way that we are helping customers move from being problem aware to how the company can best solve their problem. Yeah. Now, this is basically about structuring the content. Uh, so there are multiple hacks or tricks that, so to speak, that can help better help in engaging the customers much better. And this is just to bring to our cognizance that there is something as neuromarketing. There's a lot of development that is happening there. And I was personally privy to neuromarketing research that is done by a lot of this FMCG company. Like in Bangalore, they had a dummy store, which is actually a real store. And they have these heat sensing cameras, which kind of look at what products the consumer is noticing, which is put in the bag. Yeah. And that gives them idea that whether the new packaging or the new planogram is working for them or not. Yeah. And interestingly, a lot of companies these days are kind of doing those EEG brain scans and other things to figure out what is the best way of driving more conversion through the website. So that is neuromarketing at work. And these are some of the very interesting. I think I'm just sharing it here to pick your interest. There are multiple books on neuromarketing. It is also considered to be little manipulative. It can be manipulative if you use it in a very, when it is also called as dark patterns. But if it is used to kind of help your customer journey to make them, give them the information they want in a very quick, easy way, uh, the neuromarketing hacks can become very, very useful. So one of the neuromarketing uh, hack is distinctivity. We all know that the essential premise of this is that for anything to notice, it has to kind of break the pattern. Yeah. If you look at most of the website, you'll see that call to action is very close to their brand color. So if you go to HubSpot, it will be all orange color. If you go to a Drupal website or some other website, it will be blue color or a black color. Yeah. So the CTA is called out in a very, very distinct color. And that kind of, when people see that, okay, they know, okay, this is where they have to click if they want uh, to kind of take action on the website. So this is called as von Restorff effect. And there are multiple, not only a lot of psychological studies which are very interesting. And this is Hicks' laws, which says that if you are presented with multiple options, the time taken to respond is very less. And this was deployed by Coca-Cola, and they kind of use those EEG machines to make it more easier, yeah, figure out what they were looking for, to reduce the cognitive load and kind of improve the user engagement. And same case was with Hyundai. You can check out their case studies, how they use the EEG test to design website prototypes. Yeah. And some of the example you'll see in some of the websites which basically are uh, more targeted towards marketing community. Yeah? So if you look at SEMrush or MailChimp, you'll see that the CTAs are not, they don't present too many options. Yeah. So there are counterintuitive ways also, because when you want to do customers classification, companies are using more than one call to action, but this having one really kind of helps in getting a faster response from customers. Yeah. Now there is this dual coding theory uh, and mental imagery. So what they say is if you just remember the text, it becomes very difficult. But if this text is with color or some image, the comprehension and retention is much more easier. If you have image and image kind of uh, how data is presented, that comprehension and recall is even better. And if it's moving image, then that also helps them in a better comprehension. So if you look, there's a video recording of the MailChimp site, and you see how they've used moving images for driving home the point. Yeah. And there's another example on a Gartner website. Yeah, if they had presented the information that how the buying decision is not linear, it would be very difficult to comprehend. But even though it is a complicated image, it clearly shows the how buying process is complicated, yet it can be deciphered in a way which can be easily comprehended or understood. Yeah. So when building a website, we should always look at how through use of images along with the text or colors, we can combine both the verbal process and the non-verbal processes to build a better engaging website. So there's a very interesting neuroscience marketing technique. What they realized is they saw that there's through heat maps, whenever there's a baby image, uh, the the view on that part of the website becomes very, very higher. Yeah. And then later on did so it's not just the face, but sometimes having the baby image actually reduce the attention on the other aspects of the website. But they found out that if they change the direction of where the baby is seeing, the attention, the heat map shows that the attention to those portion actually goes up. And see, many a times I've seen even very websites of big companies, when they present an image, it is not pointing to the text. And it's a small hack. Means if you kind of have a drive more attention to a very strong point on your website, you can have an image of a person which is looking at the text. Like you see this power, your education empire, and this person is looking at this. Yeah. The next effect is called as anchoring effect. So what happens is if you go to many websites, you'll see this information present like this. And while we never thought or give it a thought like why it is presented, so the premise is you will see also that happens during the sales season. When the companies announce that there is a 50% sale, it is based on an anchoring effect that people will not question the original price. If it's written 4,000 and I say that it is for say 50% discount and it's available for 20%, So the first information, we will believe that it is true that this product was for 40,000, 4,000. Yeah. And that is why when we call it, when we anchor this thought, like if you see this light is $29 per month, and we'll feel that this has a better value. Yeah. So how do we kind of use in our design pattern while building a website for marketing to build some information which is built on some uh, which calls out and makes people decide on the things that we want to kind of act upon. So here, see, we are referring here that this is most popular. And incidentally, when you do the analytics, this 149 will actually be the most popular because that is the feeling that people get, that this is what people are, this is the highest value that they are getting. Yeah. And the other is, again, psychological studies show that if there's too much information, you'll see that bounce rate is also gone up. Yeah. So when designing a website for any company or an app, we should look at how do we make it less tiring for somebody to go through the website. Yeah. So some of the things is like ensure your copy is clear. For longer copies, use other formats like ebooks, provide cognitive aids in form of diagrams or checklists or FAQs. And like you see, this is on the right side, this is for your HubSpot page. So what they have done is they have broken large chunks of content, given some relief, and presented in a very easy to digest way. Yeah. So see, many a times people will come and say, okay, put so much things on the website, and not having a very rational basis to tell them no, it will not work, uh, will not help us. So the point here is when we know that, okay, these are actually scientifically validated reasons, uh, there are higher chances that people will listen and you'll actually have a website which is very, very clean, which is very easy to the eye, which is very easy to the brain to process, and which leads to kind of giving out information in a very compelling way and converting customers. The next is this confirmation bias. You'll see that most of the sites use those customer reviews, social media proofs, and stuff like that. So why it is important is, see, we always buy or go with anything which confirms what we already believe about the product. Yeah. So if we believe, okay, this product or this company has a lot of clients like us, so there is a better propensity to engage with them. Like, see, in our earlier case, we were in a security testing company, and we did a testing for one uh, product. And then we used the same campaign to talk to their other customers, saying that we have done this security testing for your competitor. Yeah. And we saw that there are almost like 70-80% of open rates and very high conversion through this. So when telling people that their customers, their competitors are working for us, really enforces and it amps up these are called trust signals. So how do we build trust signals on the website can be a very important aspect when planning your website. And the next comes is deploying the MarTech. So see, people are talking about, uh, especially now when they say the third-party cookie is going to be deprecated by Google. Of course, they have now given a new date. So website becomes a very important device to kind of collect this first-party data. Yeah. And it is important when planning the website to look at when is the integration, because it has to be integrated with multiple other tools. So like there are companies like MoEngage, CleverTap, so on and so forth. Yeah. And then they are saying that they also have to have a customer engagement platform. So when to those who do not know, CDP is a customer data platform. So you have WhatsApp campaign, you have email campaign, you have websites. So all that goes to the CDP, which is again connected to the CRM or other part. So to give you example, one of the clients, and you can relate it in personal life also. There was a case where the client called up somebody to inform him that he's got a free offer or something, and the other calling person did not know that he had filed a major customer complaint because data was in silos. So what CDP does is brings everything on one platform. So the person calling will know that he has filed a customer complaint a day before. Yeah. And then CEP allows us to push, I mean, whether this, not everybody has to be called. See, some people can convert through a WhatsApp message, some people have to be sent emails. So the customer engagement platform helps communicate or push messages on those relevant channels and as well as receive the feedback and update the CDP. So Acquia also, which is a Drupal, this paid version, they also have a CDP integration which integrates with all the CRM and MarTech, right from MailChimp to Oracle, Salesforce, so on and so forth. Yeah. So while content is also important, it is important to also have a view of how the platform uh, allows integration with heavy duty or very cutting edge MarTech to better utilize the leads that come from the website. Yeah. So a case study which we did at Value Bound, like we had this inbound program which brought leads to the website, and from the website we had this multi-page form, and then we pulled the credit score based on the details of the user, which was fed to the CRM, which essentially was a HubSpot and Salesforce thing. And that helped the salesperson to qualify and reach out to the right profile, which led to 30% improvement in lead generation, 2x user engagement. Yeah. So, uh, and I think the future, the last aspect, a lot of things are happening thanks to AI, and it's still in its like hype cycle. But the next phase of my discussions with some of the salespeople in leading companies, now they're looking at hyper personalization and predictability of this thing, the engagement. So they're increasingly looking at how do I personalize the web information based on where the person is coming from. And based on their interaction or engagement on the website using AI, how do we predict that this person is likely to convert more or not convert more? Yeah. And then, and I've seen some 30-40% increase in web leads whenever AI chatbots or WhatsApp chatbots have been deployed on the website. Yeah. So earlier, the chatbots were less evolved, but now they are getting more and more conversational. And this, I feel, will kind of be deployed in the immediate future. So when Meta and Google and other companies are increasingly deploying voice search, and I have a good feeling that, like you have a chat box on your website, you will have a voice search bot also, and people can actually interact with on a website, like tell me about your services, and that can go into a perplexity kind of testing, which will not be just a content which is like a raw search, but it will present data in a very intelligible form. Yeah. So I come to the end of this session. I would kind of be happy to take questions, and if uh, any of you know of some very interesting uh, tricks or hacks which is not covered in this presentation, we'll be glad to kind of hear about it. Hello. Okay. And in absence of any response, I'm presuming the best, and I'm presuming everybody was involved and has. Uh, okay. Uh, Pragya, can you allow
Yes,
the
yes.
mic and
I have unmuted it.
yeah, yeah. So, folks, you're unmuted. Happy to take questions or any information, any feedback would be really, really helpful.
So I just have some couple of queries, Neeraj.
Yeah,
First and
yeah.
foremost, thanks for this amazing session. I just have some couple of queries which is related. So we talk about the churn rate, the bounce rate, which is a part of churn rate, right? How can one relate the churn rate to the CSAT, and how can we define a CSAT index in our case scenario? Let's talk about value bond website, right? CSAT is a integral factor. So how can we do it?
Mhm. So I'm not sure, like, say, for a services company, website can be metrics for CSAT. Yeah. So CSAT
Right.
only comes when people have experienced the service. Yeah. And there are other metrics for that. It is like your net promoter score and things like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely, when it's I mean, I'm not very sure if that. Of course, if I'm a product company, then and which is like, say, I am like a web calling company. Yeah. And based on the calls, I can have a feedback
After,
saying how
yeah,
many.
after call
Yeah.
work, you can have
Yeah.
ACW.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah. So that.
usually do it. Yeah, we
Mm,
also do have one thing which is about
yeah.
filling up the feedback form from our customer.
Mm,
But
mm,
that's the state of when the conversion already happened. And then we talk about having or maintaining our churn rate as low as possible. I was just
mm,
curious. I always had this concern. Okay,
mm.
how
So
can
it's a
one
very,
measure?
very apt metrics. Okay. So churn
Right.
rate and stuff like that. When you look at, say, any when you do app marketing, isn't it? So I was
Mm-hmm.
talking to Previa before, and
Mm-hmm.
how it's part of the growth metrics. Yeah.
Right.
So it is your those churn rates are very critical to measure your monthly active users,
Right.
your weekly. Those become very, very critical. Like if I'm a SaaS-based product,
Mm-hmm.
churn rate becomes a very interesting and important metrics for me. Yeah. So
Right.
basically, that whole cycle, right from acquisition, right from onboarding, right from engaging customer. Yeah. So as part of engagement, this monthly active users, retained users, churned users, those metrics become very important. but not for, say, a services company like Value Bound or Quest. Yeah. So when you look at these companies, much of the sales closure happens in the buying center beyond the website. Yeah.
Yeah, at the end of the funnel
Yeah.
itself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that was it.
Yeah.
Thanks again.
Thanks everyone for joining. Any more questions? I'll be kind of happy to answer. And great you could stay up so late. Okay. So thanks everyone. Have a great night. Thank you for being with us.